Hi, greetings, and welcome to the Efficient Alice YouTube channel. Please allow me to introduce this wonderful medicinal ally and member of the Herbal Alliance. Usnea has provided many benefits to people all over the world for thousands of years and is a true testimony to its potency and power as a plant medicine. And so, with special thanks to the Almighty, and before I break out into song, let's get in the fight. Well, if we were looking to the etymology of the name Usnea, we find that the family name Parmeliaceae comes from the Greek words parm, meaning fruit bowl or shield, and eleo, meaning enclosed. Usnea is from the Arabic usna, meaning moss or lichen, and the genus Usnea was accredited to Michael Adamson in 1763, and since then has increased in species number to more than 600 in 2006, of which they've been reduced to about 350 or so currently, and they are considered morphological variations, and that's why they've reduced the number of species. And due to the diversity and complexity shown within this group, it is difficult to narrow down the species. Common names often present as visual identifiers, as warnings or as labels outlining medicinal uses. In the case of Usnea, we know what to look for by the common name and what it can be used for, kind of in a doctrine of signature kind of way, like being called lungs of the forest or witch's broom. So it's called old man's beard or tree lichen, beard lichen, lungs of the forest, oak moss, tree moss, witch's broom. They all kind of point to the same type of long, stringy, fibrous nature of it, kind of like my beard. From a description perspective, Usnea is a large genus of beard lichens. It grows in symbiosis with green algae and has a shrubby, fructose, or pendulant type of growth on the branches, being erect or pendant in stature. Usnea produces vegetation vegetatively through fragmentation, also asexually through soradia, and sexually. Some species may exceed 3 meters in length. That's quite long. Where I'm at, you might find an inch or two, maybe 3 or 4. The healthier the air quality, the better and longer they grow. I think that has to do with some of the variety too, but within the variety, they'll grow better with cleaner air. They're often soft green or in color, but they do change depending on the species and the time of year. They can be straw colored, reddish, or variated red and green. If you look for the orange hue in late summer to autumn, that's evident of an elevated usnic acid. Similar characteristics to the genus Alectoria, and as such needs to be differentiated between. Usnea stretches slightly, leaving a white core or cortex, and when it's separated, and the branches of the Alectoria, they snap off cleanly. Spanish moss, Tillandsia usinoides, derives its species epithet because of its similarity in appearance to Usnea. And so there's some differentiation that needs to go on there. Ecologically speaking, Usnea is widely distributed in both the northern and southern hemispheres, from temperate to tropical regions. And Usnea grows on sick or dying trees, and the rate of growth is very slow in nature, sensitive to air pollution, especially sulfur dioxide, and as such can be considered a bioindicator or let us know how healthy the environment is. The uses of Usnea have been for far more than just medicine. It's used to create dyes with a variety of colors relating to the species and the process used. It's used in cosmetics for its tonifying and antimicrobial properties. It's used as a fire starter when it's dry. Although it grows so slow, I might consider using alternative fire starting materials. And believe it or not, it can be used as food. I hope I'm never that hungry. And of course, it's a wonderful ally for our health medicinally. Energetically, Usnea tastes a bit bitter, which points to its digestive benefits. It's somewhat sweet, and this alludes to its polysaccharide content, and powdery as a tea or a tincture. Energetically, Usnea is cooling, drying, and tonifying, and these properties bring a diversity of benefits and supports in its uses as medicine and actions in the body. These actions are analgesic, and so Usnea reduces pain. It's an anti-inflammatory, also reducing pain and redness, heat, and swelling. Antimicrobial properties against a wide array of pathogens are present. It provides antioxidant benefits. It relieves fevers as an antipyretic. As a bitter, it stimulates digestion and secretions, and acting as a carminative, reducing flatulence. And it can also be used as a laxative. Usnea is diuretic, supporting the urinary system, provides relief from congestion as an expectorant, and as an immunomodulating, and has great vulnerary or healing capacities, and is great for wounds. The affinities or the organ systems that it is attracted to allow for its diversity of application and therapeutic uses. Um, yeah, far more so than any pharmaceutical. Instead of this drug for a symptom, like we have, instead of a drug for a specific system, we have a variety of actions and affinities which support the body and the body systems. Usnea is a powerhouse and works with immunity, fighting cancer, supporting the respiratory system, skin and the mucous membranes, the digestive and urinary systems, and even reproductive health. Some of the constituents we have in Usnea include polysaccharides, which are complex macromolecules that are an important energy source in animal cells. In plant cells, they form structural components, and they provide anti-tumor, immunomodulating, antioxidization, and anti-inflammatory effects. There are also anthraquinones, and these organic compounds are found in plants, fungi, and lichens and have a variety of properties, including antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal, and anti-cancer effects. You can see why this plant is so awesome. Though not a great source of protein, it does have amino acids, providing the building blocks for proteins and supporting many body functions. It has carotene, or an orange-red crystalline hydrocarbon pigment. It's convertible to vitamin A. It's high in vitamin C and has many minerals, including calcium, potassium, sodium, magnesium, iron, zinc, manganese, copper, chromium, lithium, and nickel. Usnea also contains a variety of acids, the most famous being usnic. It also has fatty acids and more. From a safety perspective, Usnea has no known contradictions. You could consider pregnancy as a contraindication. However, there's very few studies, if any, to point one way or the other to that. And so many herbalists will just say it's not safe in pregnancy. Usnea can cause contact dermatitis for some. The powder of it can be kind of irritating. Usnea will potentiate the drug clarithromycin's function. Clarithromycin is an antibiotic, and it's used for the treatment of bacterial infections, wide variety of bacterial infections, in fact. And as far as how much of it you could eat in a day, the lethal dose is 21 grams per kilogram of body weight, which at 80 kilograms, I would have to eat 1.6 kilograms of it at one time in order for it to potentially kill me. I don't think I have to worry about that, and I think we're safe. However, there have been deaths associated with usnic acid extracts when it's used as a diet and weight loss aid. And so it's important to remember that the extracts are not the plant, and they're often far more potent. Historically, Usnea has been recommended in a formula of Al-Kindi around 850 AD. It was suggested for a swollen spleen, which helps with our immune system functions. Hippocrates and Dioscorides, two ancient Greek physicians, they recommend using Usnea for uterine problems. It's considered a tonic for the immune system. The Chinese have used various Usnea species. I think they call it Sung Lao or something like that for thousands of years. It's been considered to address the lung and liver meridians within TCM. Its bitter and cold nature clears heat, reduces infection and inflammation throughout the body. It is an expectorant, and bronchodilation actions relieve wheezing. This makes it very valuable for the damp heat in the lower burner or lung conditions where qi is impeded as a result of dampness, phlegm, or heat within TCM. Usnea is also used as an immune system tonic that can support both chronic and acute immune deficiencies. Within TCM, it's been used internally and externally as a liver detoxifier for malaria, wound healing, snake bites, and coughs, and with the powder of the lichen being used for burns and wounds. Hippocrates, a Greek physician, prescribed Usnea for the treatment of uterine and urinary disorders, also to treat wounds and skin inflammations. Native Americans, they'd compress the fresh lichen to prevent infection and gangrene of open wounds, so they'd pack it in there. Usnea has a long history of medicine in Europe, Asia, and Russia. Many such traditional indications for Usnea relate to its antiseptic, anti-inflammatory, antipyretic effects for the treatment of fungal and bacterial infections. Ayurvedic and Unani medicine used it for inflammation and arthritis, in rheumatism and gout and sciatica. They also use it for a cardiac tonic to help with edema. It was applied topically as a paste for mastitis, so they'd take the powder and moisten it down and pack it onto the breast to help with the mastitis, not just in people, but in cows too. Probably any other animal it would work in. Usnic acid inhibits the blue staining wood fungus, Trichosporium, and tobacco mosaic virus. Sodium usnate is effective against the tomato canker. And in sprays at less than 500 parts per million, it can be used to control bean rust, mildews, molds, and brown spot on stone fruits. Makes me think where I'm at, we have fire blight pretty bad on a lot of our fruit trees, and it potentially could be used to fight that or cure that. That's just a guess at this point, but I am going to try it in the upcoming season. Modern studies they find usnic acid strongly inhibits mold. Its anti-inflammatory activity, analgesic activity, and antipyretic activity equal or are superior to modern pharmaceuticals. Usnic acid greatly reduces inflammation for acute and chronic conditions. The effectiveness against gram-positive bacteria, including Streptococcus and Staphylococcus and Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Usnic acid is more effective against some bacteria strains than penicillin, even at like 1/20,000th of a concentration. Usnic acid disrupts cellular activity by preventing ATP formation. And this causes significant toxicity and apoptosis of cancer cells. Usnea is even active against acne. It's again active against trichomonas, which is a parasite resulting in uterine and cervix infections. Most studies, well, they show it's effective against candidus and giardias. So beaver fever is what we call it here. Binin, or a sodium salt of usnic acid, is antimicrobial, used in the treatment of burns, ulcers, furnunculus, impetigo, trichomonas, and lupus. So a variety of bacterial and viral infections. Binin is also active against microbes and protozoa in concentrations, get this, of 1 to 300,000 or 1 to a million parts per million. Significantly strong and potent medicine to be active at those concentrations. I mentioned the mastitis in cows, but it's also good for athlete's foot and ringworm, acute bacterial infections in general. Usnic acid is not only antifungal and antibacterial, but also effective against viruses and protozoa. When used to treat cancer, it protects or doesn't do damage to testicular nucleic acids or epididymal spermatozoa. So many of the cancer drugs can actually cause damage that way, and Usnea is one that doesn't. Usnic acid is a vasodilator, relaxing the uterus, the bronchi, and the intestines, and that's part of the methods of which it works in the body. The usnic acid absorbs UV light. It has been and can be used in sunscreen lotions. Other lichens are richer in usnic acid than other species, and they can get as high as 20% content. To prepare the Usnea, there's a variety of different ways. Given the nature of the compounds that are in it, we can come up with different ways to extract them. So as a tea, you're not going to get some of the Usnic acid. They're not really all that water soluble, but you can get some of the benefits from the polysaccharides and such. It's even better to do it as an infusion or a decoction where you boil it in water for a period of time, 20 minutes or more. As a tincture, you can extract a lot of the medicinal aspects of the usnic acid and such, but you're not going to get the mineral benefits with that. So my preference would be to prepare it as a dual extraction tincture. And this is where we would use a high proof alcohol to extract a lot of the medicinal components. And then we would use that same plant matter after we've pressed off the alcohol. And then we would then boil it down in some water to create a decoction. And we would mix the two elements together, the decoction and the tincture. And that provides our dual infusion or our dual extraction tincture. And that gives us a well-balanced mixture of some of the medicinal components and some of those polysaccharides. It can also be used as an oil infusion, which may be one of the better ways to extract those compounds. However, traditionally, it seems to be more of an alcohol type thing. Let's go over the dual extraction tincture. Basically, we're going to combine equal parts of the alcohol extract with Usnea decoction. The alcohol extract is a 1 to 5 parts with 95% alcohol, and the Usnea decoction is a reduction in water. We'll go over making that in a moment. As an oil infusion, you would combine 1 part dried Usnea with 5 parts of a carrier oil. I personally am using organic sunflower oil for most of the topical stuff. And then you would allow it to sit for for 4 to 6 weeks, and then you could press the oil out and use it in balms or salves, or even just keep it as an oil. How to make a dual extraction tincture? Well, you would prepare your 1 to 5 dried plant matter tincture with 95% alcohol with your Usnea. So I'm going to use an example of 100 grams of Usnea, and then you would mix that with 500 milliliters of your 95% grain alcohol. And you can let that sit for a few weeks. You could also heat it up. You could macerate it in a blender. And these things will improve the extraction quality and shorten the time. So if you maximize your surface area and you warm it up a little bit and you agitate it, those types of things, surface area, agitation, and heat are going to be your main ways of increasing the concentration. You'll use the plant matter after pressing the alcohol by combining it with the same volume of water that you previously used in alcohol. So what that means, if you use 500 milliliters of alcohol to begin your tincture making, you would now use that same volume of water. Likely, when you extracted it, you ended up with quite a bit less than your 500 milliliters that you started with. And so what we want to do is when we're simmering the decoction, we want to reduce the volume to approximately the same or less than what you extracted. So what does that mean? Well, if after you've pressed your alcohol extract and you have a total of 330 milliliters from the original 500 milliliters, then you would start with 500 milliliters of water and simmer that same volume down to about 330 milliliters or slightly less. Then you would add water to bring the volume back up to 330 milliliters. You would then combine the alcohol extraction with the water decoction to achieve your desired dual extraction percentage of alcohol. For simplicity's sake, I usually use equal parts alcohol extract with a water decoction. In this example, I would use 330 milliliters of each of the alcohol extract and of the water decoction, mixing them together and with a resulting alcohol extraction concentration, dual extract tincture concentration being at about 47.5% alcohol. If you can follow a cake recipe, you can do this too. Making herbal medicines is super easy and effective, and anyone can do it. Well, that's about all I have to share on Usnea today. I hope you found it informative and you enjoyed yourself, and you'll have the opportunity to get out and make some medicine with it. I will leave you with this tip. It's one thing to learn about a medicine and to get introduced to it, but it's another to make the practice your own and to get out and get that fight in you. So that's my encouragement. Super easy to do. You should know all about it, where to harvest it and grab it, how to make medicine from it. And if you don't know, well, then I'm going to get you to check out one of our classes that we have here at Officinalis. Yeah, and here comes the infomercial. If you are local and looking for an in-person herbalism learning opportunity, you can check out our Fight Club meetings held monthly on the first Tuesdays, where we do a deep dive into a plant monograph, making medicine to take home, and exploring all the wonders of the plants together. Of course, there's tea too. If you are interested in how herbs can support your journey and would like a personalized herbalist consultation, a herbalist consultation with Officinalis involves a detailed history and assessment, exploring an individual's diet, lifestyle, medical history, current health status, and vitality. Drawing on 6,000 years or more of traditional plant knowledge and modern science, recommendations are made and education is provided through the Holistic Health Improvement Plan. For more information or to make an appointment, please contact me via email at fight@officinalis.life. Cheers.